Alright, yins guys, what's up? Time for another video. And I'll also share with you right now, I just did some hand gesture unknowingly, and my camera turned on by itself. I forget that I have that mechanism on these new cameras now. So right while I was sitting here, I was kind of playing with these in the camera. Kind of, wow. I gotta remember that because I don't know, I just like turning my camera on the old way and then sitting down like I do in my videos. But yeah, you may ask the reason why I have these. Alright, yins guys, the following video will be an explanation or an interpretation of what far leftist fitness legislation and fitness equipment legislation would look like. Say if you watch YouTuber Waking with JP and you want to read a little bit more into it, and say they decided, just like gun control, they decided to go after fitness equipment and muscle development, which goes hand in hand with legislation on the way you will be allowed or not allowed to walk around too confidently, you know what I mean, and trigger anybody or hurt anybody's feelings or offend anybody and shit like that, you know what I mean. This is what it would probably or most likely look like. And I'm gonna do another video, and I'm gonna do like what they say in the, like the YouTuber ZEDUCATION says, including myself, what he says, like, if you laugh you lose, because I love that expression, because I admit that a lot of videos I make to, whether seriously make fun of things, that I'm trying not to laugh and screw up the video, screw up my talking. But anyway, reason why I have these, I found these in a trash, and I'm gonna do you a little Awake with the YouTuber Awake with JP type parody, but I'm explaining myself, you know, I know it's a little weird that I couldn't, finding these and seeing the YouTuber Awake with JP about exercise and stuff, his parodies. I just couldn't resist seeing these, so I'm inspired by that. And the fact that I admit that when I'll do videos and talk about stuff that I'm trying not to laugh, because I talk about ridiculous shit. You know, I got ZEDUCATION, if you laugh you lose. But anyway, enough of that rambling. I don't want to call this a video parody, a video talk, but not so much a video parody, because I'm not doing a parody show. I should say parody slash sarcasm talk or whatever. And I got these, you know why, the reason behind these, trying not to laugh, that I want to tell you guys, especially any of you guys that dabble in fitness here. Might want to ask yourselves, and I'm going to ask you a good question, and you need to ask this of yourselves honestly now, which I am saying here without busting out laughing, which you guys should take this into consideration while listening to me here without busting out laughing. And maybe we can keep ourselves from busting out laughing together. How's that? Yeah, if you watched Awake with JP, I got these because I'm going to ask you the question. Yeah, all right, try not to laugh. Here goes. I'm going to come out with it. Are you ready for the new legislation? You know how they have gun control legislation, right? And if you watch the YouTuber Awake with JP, I'm asking you, are you ready for the legislation, the leftist legislation that will come soon, where instead of going after guns and a right to bear arms, when they run out of shit to bitch about, when they have their legislation going after fitness equipment, weights, exercise, and fitness equipment, and going along with that will also, it'll go hand in hand with legislation that'll go along with it, like regulating your body language, and which would indicate offensive body language would be lifting up a certain amount of weight too confidently and walking around with your head too high, you know, especially walking around the streets with any kind of muscle development with your head too high and everything. So these was what you'll get, they'll grace you with, right? When they have the legislation against fitness equipment, right? When they do away with the gyms, the fancy machines, and the bench presses and the weights, right? And oh, and I'll be getting to this, but even though the legislation graces you with these, in fact, they're the political correct color too, you know what I mean? But just because I'll have to warn you right off the bat, just because they grace you with being able to use these in their new legislation, I would have to warn you right away too that along with the legislation of gracing you to own these, there'll be laws and legislations which will dictate and conduct how you handle these. Which, in other words, you can still get in trouble. And then when them new laws take over, you know, you don't want to be subject to fines or imprisonment, which your lawyer, who will probably be whispering to you that he is actually a straight male and married, that even though he's in court, because yeah, you'll be graced with a title to a lawyer. Yeah, your lawyer will be wearing a women's blazer and skirt, but he'll be whispering to you, says, oh, I can maybe get you off, instead of going to prison, get you off with community service and a sensitivity training class, you know, as opposed to going in prison where instead of having the orange jumpsuit, you know, the new legislation, if you're a dude, yeah, instead of the prison jumpsuit, you'll be wearing an orange prison dress kind of thing or whatever too, you know what I mean? And they might even make you dye your hair a weird color or whatever. Yeah, you don't want that, so you'll have to comply with the proper handling of these. For example, you know, the body language, if you even pick something like this up, you have to have a look on your face of oppression. You don't want to pick it up like you're too confident, man. That'll get you red flag fines. And like I said, yeah, your lawyer, you'd have to plead out rather than, you know, having to wear a prison dress, an orange prison dress, which, like I said, there'll be no more prison jumpsuits in their new law. So yeah, you'd have to, you know, look like you're oppressed. Handle this, you know, you don't want to walk around. Oh, and here's one thing that'll be highly illegal. Watch this. Or holding both of these in one hand and lifting them over your head. Now that'll make you look like a violent right-wing terrorist right there. I'm telling you what, you know what I mean? Oh, and here's something else that'll be illegal too, with the authorities watching you. Say you want to sneak and engage in some malicious compliance, like complying to the new legislation, right? You say you want to be cute and sneak in a little bit malicious compliance to be a smart ass. Or here's an example of malicious compliance that might get you thrown in a prison, which will be instead of as a terrorist, and instead of having the jumpsuit, you know, the orange dress instead of the jumpsuit. Malicious compliance, right, would be like this, lifting it and doing this, right? And you'd have to sneak and say, oh, I'm sorry, wait a minute, I didn't mean to do this. I have this, see, I got this mosquito bite on my finger that's itchy. See this? See? And I'm picking this up. That would be your excuse if they buy the excuse, and then maybe your lawyer defending you in court, right? You know, you'd have to get a diverse jury that might acquit you or whatever, you know, and you know about the jury, they'll try to say it's a fair jury, but You know, they'll, I don't want to give you adjectives, but yeah, it's like, yeah, and malicious compliance. I'm lifting this thing according to the regulations without hurting anybody's feelings or making anybody triggered, you know, too much self-confidence. And oh man, this mosquito bite, you know, my finger, it made my finger itch, so I wasn't, you know, flipping you off, see, and then, you know, that's all kind of trouble. But then, you know, oh yeah, and if you get flagged too many times and don't get arrested or fined, or if you do, you'll also lose your privilege to own even this. You know, they'll take them. And matter of fact, if you're registered as a fitness offender, yeah, like doing stuff, lifting something too confidently and all that, and you get flagged for some reason, if you get caught with one of these or whatever, or maybe somebody that doesn't like you and they're out for you, right? They plant one of these in your car or in your house, and you get caught with this, and it comes up on the computer that you were a repeat offender, engaging in fitness activity that's illegal. Man, straight off to the prison, damn it. Yeah, you'll be in that orange prison dress, and because, yeah, after all, reminding you the prison jumpsuit will be obsolete in their new culture law, you know what I mean? So, and I'll show you another example too, which I don't got the gym equipment with me right now, or no bench presses or no weights, but these things, man, especially this is my littlest one I got. This would be highly illegal. No cranking your wrists with this, or definitely not doing any bare knuckle push-ups like I do, say, in my videos, right, either. And here's a medium-sized one, man. This one, equivalent to a lot of prohibited unregistered weapons, if you will. And even though it's not really a weapon, it looks too scary like it is. And after all, like I preach, the origin of these things, you know, they were juggled and thrown in the air, even heavy ones, and they were trained in ancient times by cultures to train for using swords and shields. So even if you don't use it as a weapon, and actually in a way these ones you can, something illegal too, like whether you use a lamp or one of these to bludgeon somebody who tries to rob your house or murder you, you know, and defending yourself. I mean, if you have this or a lamp, oh yeah, you don't want to do that's other subject matter. But then this one, that'll be really scary, you know, wielding this with one hand and cranking your wrist. Man, you got the equivalent, some really bad shit there, you know what I mean? And this, even if you try to use this in a more gay fashion or something, and say you're trying to do splits and bare knuckle push-ups like I do with this, and try to say, oh, I'm doing splits with this and knuckle push-up at the same time, but I'm not really doing that. I'm training inspired by female majorettes, but I just forgot to put my pink leotard on. You know, the authorities are not going to buy that, especially if they see you doing bare knuckle push-ups with this. You know what I mean? Not a very good idea. Matter of fact, if you're using tools or crowbars or sledgehammers too confidently, and the exercises I used to do with these, you know, and then you're using tools too confidently, you get under the radar of Antifa members that feel threatened and offended because maybe you might potentially be able to wield an item to defend yourself better from them better than they can wield an item. The ones who are funding and advocating them will get offended and flag you as a terrorist, especially when you want to push back. Even if you don't get into any real combat for pushing back. just the idea, body language of any exercise, being able to handle one of these a little better, too confidently, you know, like it's not heavy. Oh, that's bad news there, you know what I mean? Even carrying it with the wrong body language, you know what I mean? If you had to pick this up and move it, you got to look more oppressed, you know. Don't want to hurt the feelings of anybody, or you don't want to get under the radar of the enforcing class that's allowed to do all the violence that the leftist advocates, like Mr. King of the Streets or whatever, and the ones that sell them their drugs, you know what I mean? If you get them start worrying by walking around too confidently and be able to wield instruments, or even imply that you believe in any right to bear arms and be able to push back, or even non-combatively, you know, disagree with somebody or walk by certain groups that may be the Mr. King of the Streets enforcing class, or their beta male enforcers, so to speak. Walk around too confidently like that. Bad news right there. You can get basically flagged as a terrorist, you know what I mean? Because after all, you're supposed to walk around the streets in a little bit of fear and have your... I'd have to do if you got this far in this video, I'd have to do a whole video, in my opinion, about the proper way to rock. Maybe hunch your neck down a little bit, you know, cringe down, maybe do a slouch and not walk, you know, too confidently. Maybe go and slouch your neck a little bit down and hunch it down a little bit when you're walking. And of course, you know, I don't even want to get into what goes hand in hand with that, like the mandatory purchasing a minimum of street drugs or whatever, too, you know what I mean? And going hand in hand with enabling putting yourself down a level, a few notches below everybody else and them. So what I'm basically talking in a nutshell, I can do a lot of different videos on a couple other things, subject matter alone, you know, that basically, I'm telling you, there'll be legislation against any kind of body language or posture of way of walking that makes you appear violent or rebellious, or what do you call it?